Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're having a great week so far. This week I thought it was about time that I share a slow cooker video. So this week I have 6 recipes for you, one of those being a dessert, and I'm really excited to share them with you. So let's get started. We are starting this video off today making Italian sausage and peppers. So you're going to start by adding 1 package of beer brats to your crock pot. I am using beer brats, like I said, but you can also use mild or hot, whichever you prefer. 1 green bell pepper that I sliced. And then this is probably equivalent to another colored bell pepper. I just used these ones I had in the freezer, but normally I would use red. And then a half of a yellow onion sliced. Next, you're going to add in 1 15-ounce jar of pizza sauce, and then a ½ teaspoon of garlic salt, a ½ teaspoon of black pepper, and a ½ teaspoon of Italian seasoning. I'm just going to give this a good mix to really incorporate those seasonings with the sauce, and then this is going to get covered and cook on low for 5 hours. Now this is what it will look like when it's done. You can eat this several different ways. My grandpa used to make something very similar to this, and we would just eat it on hot dog buns at his house, but you can also eat this on riced cauliflower or regular rice or pasta, anything you want. I actually had some zucchini that needed to be used up, so I sauteed that, and I just ate mine over my zucchini with a little bit of mozzarella cheese on the top. Next up, I'm sharing these easy slow cooker mashed potatoes, and I decided to share these with you because the holidays are quickly approaching, and this is such a great hack when you're cooking a bunch of food. You can just throw these right in and not worry about them for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up 2.5 pounds of potatoes. I am cutting this recipe in half because it is just me and my husband, so keep that in mind. And then I'm going to add in a ½ cup of chicken broth. If you don't want to use the chicken broth, that's fine. You can use water, same amount, and then this is going to cook on high for about 2 hours. If you're doing the full recipe with the 5 pounds of potatoes, it's going to take about 3.5 or 4 hours depending on how small you slice up your potatoes. Once my potatoes are done, I'm just going to take a potato masher and just mash those right here in my crock pot. And from this point on, I'm just going to make them like I make my regular mashed potatoes. I put a couple tablespoons of butter in, I believe 2 to start, and then a little bit of half and half. And then I added about 1/4 cup of sour cream. And then I'm just going to throw in some garlic powder, black pepper, salt, and parsley. Once I get all that in there, I'm going to go back through with my potato masher and mix that together. At this point, I'm just going to take my spoon and scrape the edges, make sure everything is off the bottom and combined very well. And I'm also going to taste it and see if it needed anything else, and if it needs something else, then I'll add it in and just mix it again. Once you get those to your liking, you just put the lid on and you can keep it on warm for a couple of hours, and it's good to go for whenever you have your family dinner. You can set it aside and not worry about it. It's such a great holiday hack. Now we're going to move on to this easy chicken stroganoff. So I'm going to spray my crock pot with a little bit of nonstick spray just in case. And I have 6 chicken thighs that I trimmed the fat off of. I'm going to throw those in the bottom and spread those around a little bit. And then you're going to add a 10-ounce can of cream of chicken soup. And then you're also going to add in one of these zesty Italian seasoning mixes. I'm adding in 1 pack of sliced mushrooms. And then I'm adding in 1 block of cream cheese, and I just cubed that so it'll melt a little easier. And then you're going to throw in about 2 tablespoons of butter and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper and give that a mix. Here in a second, you're going to notice it looks a little bit melted. That's because I had to walk away for a second when I was making this to take care of my dog. But you're also going to add in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I just gave that another quick mix, and then I put the lid on, and this cooked for about 5 hours on low. Next, you're going to want to shred your chicken. I usually just use my meat masher in the crock pot, and I just mash the chicken in there because it falls apart at this point. However, I don't think I was recording when this happened, but I was making some taco meat and my meat masher decided to break and it flung across the kitchen. It was crazy. So I had to order a new one of those and it's not here yet. But you're just going to shred your chicken, and I'm just using 2 forks. That is why. And I'm going to add that back into my slow cooker and mix that together. At this point, you're just going to let that sit for just a few minutes while you get your noodles ready. I'm using egg noodles, but feel free to use any type of noodle that you want. And I cooked half of this bag. I'm going to drain those and pour those into my slow cooker with the meat and the sauce. So sorry about the steam. I didn't even think about you getting steamed out. And then I'm just going to give that a good mix. And at this point, you're going to want to taste it and see if it needs any seasonings. Usually it's just salt and pepper, but if you feel the need to add something else, feel free. It's your kitchen. And then after you add your seasonings, it is ready to serve. Up next, we're doing this slow cooker honey and soy sauce chicken and veggies. I really loved this. It was so different from anything I've made in a long time. So I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of low sodium soy sauce, a 1/2 cup of honey, and then a 1/4 cup of ketchup. And I don't know if you can notice, but I end up being a little short on honey. I thought I had more than I did. I actually just added in a teaspoon of sugar just to help add some sweetness to the dish, and I think it turned out perfect. Now we're going to add in our seasonings really quickly. So I have 1 teaspoon of basil, a 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And the last thing you're going to add in here is 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Go ahead and mix that and then set it aside. Moving on to our potatoes, I have about 6 of these red potatoes. I washed them very well. We're going to leave the skin on, and I'm just going to quarter all of these. Okay, so now we're actually going to get started. In my slow cooker, I'm adding in 6 chicken thighs, and then I'm going to add my potatoes right on top of that, and then 1 bag of baby carrots. Once you have all that in there, you're just going to pour your sauce right over the top and then put the lid on and let that cook for about 6.5 hours on low. At this point, everything should be soft and your chicken should be starting to fall apart. You're going to take a 1/2 pound of green beans. You can add more if you want to. A 1/2 pound was sufficient for us though. I cleaned those and cut the ends off, and I just mixed those right in here, and that's going to cook another hour. This meal was packed full of tons of flavor. If I made this again though, I would probably double the sauce. Just because I like a lot of sauce in my meal, but that is totally optional, and I added more hot pepper flakes to mine just to have a little more heat. Okay, so I made this a while back and I promised I would share a more in-depth recipe with you guys. This is my chicken and noodle recipe. So I start off by adding an entire pack of family size boneless skinless chicken thighs, followed by a box of chicken broth. I will have all the measurements of the cans and everything down in the description box for you. Now I'm adding in 1 large can of condensed cream of chicken soup and 1 small can. If you cannot find the big can, you can just use 3 of the small ones. Next, you're going to add in a 1.5 sticks of butter. I know it's a lot, but it really does add to this flavor. I like to slice it in little pieces like this just so it melts more evenly throughout the dish. I'm just going to give this a quick mix, put the lid on, and then this is going to cook on high for about 4 hours. Once my chicken was cooked all the way through, I just pulled that out onto a plate and I shredded it with 2 forks, and then once it's all shredded, I just throw it right back in. Once you get that done, you're just going to toss in 24 ounces of frozen egg noodles. Go ahead and mix your noodles in really quick, and then we're going to add some seasonings. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of garlic, and then 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper. Unfortunately, I lost a little bit of footage here, so at this time, after adding in your seasonings, you're going to take 1/4 cup of water and mix that with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and then you're going to add that back into here and then give it a good mix. Once you get everything back in here, you're going to go ahead and cover it and let it cook for 1 to 2 hours until your noodles have completely cooked through, and your soup will no longer be a soup. It'll have thickened up very nicely. At this point, your noodles should be completely cooked through and it should have thickened up by now. Now is the time to go ahead and give it a taste since everything has completely cooked. And I guarantee you're going to need to add more salt and pepper. I do, but this part is to taste. Some people like this to be very salty. That's how I like it, but some people don't. So add more salt and pepper, and then after that, it's ready to serve. Last but not least is this chocolate lava cake, and oh my gosh, this was so good. In my mixing bowl, I'm adding 1 box of chocolate cake mix, 1 box of chocolate pudding mix, 3 eggs, 1 1/4 cup of milk, and a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. And the last thing you're going to add is a 1/2 cup of sour cream. And I know that sounds crazy, but just trust me, trust the process. It'll help the texture so much. You're going to start your mixer on low for about 30 seconds, and then you're going to change it to medium speed for about 2 minutes or until your cake is nicely mixed. Don't forget to scrape the bottom and make sure that you didn't miss anything. Now this next step is probably the most important step. You want to make sure that you spray down your slow cooker super duper well. I sprayed a lot in mine and mine still stuck, so make sure you coat that thing really well, and then you're going to dump your cake mix in there and just spread it around until it's even. Next, you're going to take a bag of chocolate chips. This should be about 2 cups worth of chocolate chips, and you're just going to spread that around across the top as even as you can. Now you can put the lid on, and this is just going to cook on low for 3 hours. I also just wanted to add this in here. These are the exact ingredients I used in case you were curious. Do not let the looks of this fool you. It is so delicious. To make sure it's done, you're just going to stick your spoon or fork or whatever you're using, a utensil in the center. Just make sure that when you pull it out, it has this crumbly look to it. You have to remember that it's not going to look like a traditional cake because it does have pudding and that sour cream in there, which will change the texture. This is how I ate mine, just plain on a dish. It is very rich, but so good. Oh my gosh, can't get over how good this was. And then Elijah just ate his with a little bit of vanilla ice cream on top. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for sticking it out and watching the entire thing. I really hope that you will subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys back here on Sunday with a new What's for Dinner. Bye guys.